Welcome to this webinar, How to Optimize Your Cloud Spend with FinOps Maturity Assessment. I've said it before a few minutes ago, but I'll repeat again. My name is Parul Chadha, and I'm the VP of Strategic Alliances at CoreStack, a multi-cloud governance platform that offers next-gen solutions for FinOps, SecOps, and CloudOps for all of your cloud resources. This webinar will be conducted by Venkatesh Perumal. Venki, we've been kind of chatting with him for the last few minutes. Venki is the field CTO for us and is one of the founding team members of CoreStack. Venki is a techno-functional leader who brings in 20 plus years of experiences of working with Fortune 500 banking, retail, and hospitality companies. Throughout the session, we'll have Q&A session that will be followed by after Venki's session. Please use the Q&A chat or window to type in your questions. Should you have comments, share your knowledge, or ask the generic things, please also use the chat window. Throughout the session, Venki will be conducting polls. Please participate. And as I had mentioned before, these are the tracksuits which are very popular during the reInvent, and we are getting a lot of compliments. So we want to share as a token of thanks to some of you guys. Throughout this webinar. This webinar is about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll keep like 5 to 10 minutes for question answer. A few days ago, I'd actually come across a research by Statista, and it stated that in the world, 2020, right, worldwide, there are about 30% of cloud spend was wasted in various organizations. And they made a generic research around this. That's a big number, guys. So let's learn from Venki on how to optimize your cloud spend with FinOps Maturity Assessment that spans through the FinOps framework's iterative phases of inform, optimize, and operate. Venki, welcome to the stage. It's all yours.
Thanks, Parul. First of all, thank you so much for providing your valuable time to us. And again, it's time to look cool. Be attentive, ask questions. You will become cool after 30 minutes, right? So that being said, freshly coming out of AWS reInvent and also presenting in the FinOps Summit, one of the key takeaways and the discussions that I've had with various FinOps Foundation members is how can we enable organizations to implement best practices, right? We do know that this whole aspect of cost has been there 11 years, and even now it is becoming even more relevant. How can we bring that, take that chaos and make it more practice oriented, right? So before I get into the next, I just quickly want to run a poll on what are the key challenges that are, key focus to you. So we'll just, I'm going to start the poll. Let's take 30 seconds. Go ahead and give your input. Okay, for the joinees who have been joining as we have started the webinar, there is a poll. Feel free to take that poll. There is a couple of more seconds left before we close the poll. Okay, then I think we have completed the poll. Let's look at the results. Awesome. Now it's very, very clear from this that at least more than 50%, in fact, 60% clearly say that all of the above, right? You do have challenges with respect to lack of accuracy in forecasting, reducing unused and wasted resource, cost allocation to the teams, and accurate accounting of resources, right? So now that is a number to look out for, and that's the reason why a stat was pretty much run by the FinOps org with various size of customers, right, who have spent from under $1 million to $1 million to 10 and 10 to 50 million. But what has come, the output of this was that many of the organizations were in the crawl phase, which is essentially, you do have some practice, but it is not, well integrated at all, right? You do things in bits and pieces. Optimization is run more of an ad hoc job. and not a continuous job, right? So clearly close to 50%, 43%, 43.5 is close to, I will consider it as that 50% if it's going to be a much larger number, right? And many of the organizations have now started, thinking that, what, I think it's high time we bring in this whole sanity into how we manage cost, because it's important to be in control of the cost before going ahead and spending it, right? And the last is the run phase, which is about 15%. Clearly, there are organizations which are matured, but now the whole aspect of how do I look at my cost from a holistic angle. When I say holistic angle, it needs to have an impact of cloud operations with FinOperations. It needs to have an interaction of how security is having an impact on the cost. And that's why many of the organizations who are in this 15% bucket, they are pretty much using the next generation cloud management platform or a governance platform. Yeah. So, and who is helping us in this? Of course, FinOps, a great community. Had an awesome time during the reInvent as well as during the FinOps Summit. A lot of bright minds looking at how can we enable organization to get maximum business value. One of the key items that we discussed with the FinOps organization also is, while cost management has been there, but I think it is more about how can we bring in the whole cultural aspect of managing the cost in a much more efficient way, right? That's very, very key. Now, that being said, there are various angles, right? You get cost visibility, but how do we bring in the unit economics into the picture? That's also a key aspect to the entire FinOps, right? Because at the end, it is always not about cost saving. And this is one thing that I was having a good conversation is how can we basically say, hey, how can we spin the story and say cost saving is nothing but maximizing business value. It's basically making money and it's not saving cost. And the second aspect is to basically enable the CIOs in a level that they know that for every dollar that they spend, what is the business value that they are getting. That is exactly where we need to move towards to help make sure that you go step by step and you attain that goal of getting that value of every dollar against what you really make, right? So that was very, very key. Of course, the organization helps us with key best practices. Anything and everything with best practices is good, right? If you have a checklist and if you are able to automate that, nothing better, because now you know what you're doing and there is no distraction at all. So from the way our platform is also built, it is built with a key principle of FinOps and the various phases like inform, optimize, and operate. And I call this pyramid as the layered approach, where in the bottom part of the entire pyramid is what I call as the foundation of the entire building, which is nothing but entire FinOps. And what does foundation really help is, one, to understand your cost. That's very, very important. Once you understand the cost from a billing perspective, then you are in a position to go ahead and add controls over the cost. Now, controls could be, can I go ahead and set a budget, but budget also not from an account perspective, right? Can I drill down to a level where I'm able to set the budget at a cost center level? Can I set it at an environment level, project level? Do I have that flexibility? Once I set it, can I monitor it, right? Because it's important that you need to monitor and take corrective actions as you continue to consume cost. Next is spending anomaly, because all these spending anomaly and outlier analysis really puts you into a control mode, wherein now you know what is happening in your environment whenever a new workload is provisioned and what is the impact of that particular workload on the cost. If you know that, then comes the next aspect, because now you know where you're spending, what you're spending. Next is the easy way of going ahead and saving some cost. How? Because now you know that you're in AWS, Azure, GCP, or Oracle, you know how much you are spending. You can now talk to the hyperscalers and say, you know what, we have this particular commit. Do you have an option to provide some sort of discounts? I always call that you can save cost by two means. One, you can save the cost by rate. Another one is you can optimize cost by usage. The one that I'm talking about right now, it is basically based on rate. Because now you can, whatever you're spending, if you're spending $1 per hour, with the rate, you're probably spending 60 cents per hour, right? So first thing, it's easy to do it. There is no intelligence required. All you need is the data and the visibility into your cost. Next comes how can I now intelligently procure resources like spot instances as well as runtime management, because many of the organizations that are there in the industry today, at least 1/3 of the workloads are dev workloads, right? And dev workloads need not be running 24/7. Everyone knows that there is an auto start can be done, but do you want to do it manually by identifying what resources are running at what time, or do you want to be doing it in an intelligent way? And that's where the runtime management really comes into the picture, where the platform itself should enable and recommend for you to go ahead and schedule the resources in the way you want. Now that once that is taken care, next comes much more easier way where you can start identifying resources which are not right sized, which are unused, like idle VMs, unattached resources. Those are the things which can be easily attained, right? They are what I call as the low hanging fruit, which can be quickly, you can get the benefit out of just taking care of these capacity-based optimization. And the last is very, very important. The entire organization itself needs to have an alignment from a FinOps cultural standpoint of having the cost accountability and making sure that it is all well integrated within your own policies and processes. Before I go into the FinOps maturity assessment report, I definitely would want to talk about what this report is. But I would want to just go ahead and float one more poll. And the poll is, if you have assessed, or even if you have not assessed, don't worry about it. Let us know how mature you are from the point that you look at it. We want to understand how mature you are. So the poll is coming right away. Again, 30 seconds. Just go ahead and take it. Don't worry about it. It is just to understand at what stage you are in. Are you in crawl, walk, run, or you don't know, and which is totally fine. And that's exactly where reports such as FinOps Maturity Assessment Report really comes handy to understand where are the areas that you're lacking or the improvements that can be made. And then once you implement those things, how can you track on a regular basis? Because again, as I said in the beginning, it is more of a continuous work than a one-time work, right? So this assessment of maturity needs to be done on a continuous basis. It need not be every day, but at least you should know every month, right? And one of the key things that I've always been also seeing by the hyperscalers is bringing in the whole best practices from a well-architected framework perspective, which I'll talk shortly. Just another couple of more seconds, and the poll should end any moment. Perfect. The poll is done. Thank you so much for all. Clearly see that there is a mix, 1/3, right? Many of the participants are 8%, which basically matches with the statistics which was run by FinOps, right? You are 28% definitely in the crawl, and you do have some processes defined in the walk stages. How can and 32% I don't know, and clearly says that what you need to know, because we always say what you don't know is what you need to know. And once you know that, you are now in a position to go ahead and implement all of these best practices, right? Thank you for providing that particular information. Now, the way we have structured is we have the FinOps Maturity Assessment Report is the first level of report, which has more than 150 controls. And these 150 controls basically go through every aspect of your cloud spend, your activity, your tagging standards. It looks at every aspect and provides you first visibility, and also provides you recommendation as to what you need to do. What we are also coming up with is, this is the CIO view, because everyone at a management level should see where you are. But we are also, in a couple of weeks, you'll also see the engineering view of this particular report, which will have resource level information as to what you can really do. And as we continue to mature this report as well, one of the key asks that I would do with the participant is, feel free to give us feedback, because you are a community. We really want to take feedback from you. Want to make sure that this report, as we get into this journey of maturity assessment report, we want to take your feedback and make sure this particular report does the purpose that it is really designed to do. Yeah. So
before you get into the assessment, as a part of thank you, as you said, we floated 2 polls, and people are have joined us from across the globe. Really, as a part of thank you, we've picked up our first winner of the tracksuit, John L. We'll reach out to John after this webinar. We just wanted to call it out. Please, guys, engage, and we'll have more winners or a token of thanks being shared to you guys. Go ahead, Venki.
Thanks, Parul. So one is it provides you, and one of the prerequisites that I will always say is bring in an account which has more data in it, right? If you have few test workloads and you're expecting the report to provide the kind of data that you really want to see, you may not, right? It always depends upon the amount of data that you bring in. So one of the prerequisites is have an account which you think runs majority of the resources, and you see that, yes, you know what, I really need to understand what state I am in. Bring in that kind of account. So what you get is, at a glance, you basically get what is your score, right? While you have this whole crawl, walk, and run, we want to quantify that, right? Where are you with from a quantification perspective, right? Again, happy to hear your feedback. Do you think this quantification works well? Does it provide value when we say you are novice or you're advanced beginner or you are competent or proficient? Or you think this particular value may not matter a lot, but if you give us some score, that also works well. Happy to get more feedback from you, because we believe in community feedback from the community. So as you see here, it is clearly aligned with FinOps principle: inform, optimize, and operate, right? So you get, and again, this report is across all the clouds. So you can go ahead and bring in any type of account. It doesn't matter whether it's a pay-as-you-go, enterprise agreement, CSP, AWS linked account, it doesn't matter, right? Just bring in any kind of accounts. Now, once we have the higher level of information, that's where we split the entire data into inform, optimize, and operate, right? So from an inform perspective, you need to know what are the anomalies that you have seen from the past, because anomaly is the one which basically triggers an action. Why did such event took place? Why was there a dip, or why was there an increase? That's very, very important on a specific month, because it could be that you have migrated, or it could be because of any other reason that there's an anomaly. So you need to know how is your monthly spend behaving from a trend perspective. That's number one. Number two, you also need to know, while we always say from an optimization perspective, there is an architectural design that comes into the picture. You need to understand which is the product that you're using the most, which can help you take the next step into what I call as the digital transformation. Can I move from just a plain virtual machine to containerized space? Because now I'm spending more. Can this particular data help me move into that particular direction of moving the workloads from whatever technology to a technology which is much more efficient? So that's exactly what you get. And you also get analytics into each resources, how each resources is behaving. For month-on-month data, there is also a forecast, right? How is your forecast looking for the next 6 months? There is an algorithm built within CoreStack which can tell you, right? While the end of the month forecast is good, but giving a forecast 3 months and 6 months is even more better, because now you are in a position to plan plan well, right? So that's another aspect of providing forecast information. Again, you're running workloads in various regions. So you need to know which region is performing how, see if there is something that you need to do. But more importantly, now let's come to the optimized part, right? As I said, the rate part, you can go ahead and take care. What you need is an intelligence is, where am I really wasting the cost? Where can I avoid my cost? And that's what we call as cost avoidance. If you can avoid a cost, you better do it, right? And that's what we are providing information with respect to orphan resources, idle resources, right sizing resources. So you get all that information here. What is the potential saving that you can do? We really want to move towards this. Next aspect of this would be is how can we do a workload based optimization as well, right? So that's also something which is coming up. Next, again, there has to be some sort of best practices, right? Tagging has been a problem. It has been a problem for a long time, but how do we ensure that you are able to tag your resources? Because at the end of the day, there is a show back, there is a charge back within an organization, which is even more important, right? So we bring in the whole aspect of tagging, but even more, how are you setting budget, right? If you are not setting budget, you need to know, and then you have to go ahead and set the budget. So once you do it, you are in a position to get, configure that in the platform, get alerts, take proactive measures. So it's always about, we call it as 3 R's, right? You reporting is good, recommend, even more better, remediation, the best, right? Because any recommendation that you get, if you're able to implement it, only then the business value comes in. Yeah. So with that, that's pretty much what the entire report talks about. This is the high-level executive summary, which has the key aspects of the best practices that we have included. If you think something is missing, feel free to provide us that feedback. Happy to take it so that we pass it on to our product team and make some improvement. As Parul said,
Venki, we'll take one more pause. Let me go through and randomly pick the next winner. You said 3 R's. That's great. A lot of good information you've shared. So the next name on the list, and again, you're picking it randomly, and people who are participating and just coming in as a thank you note. Vladimir B is the next winner for the tracksuit. Just wanted to, tell everybody congratulations again. But go ahead, Venki, one more. We'll think once you are done, we'll pause again and give out more love from our side. Yeah, go ahead, Venki.
Absolutely. So CoreStack, as Parul said, this is a platform which can take you to the run state, wherein now you have a full visibility, because I strongly believe, and we also strongly believe, that every action in the cloud is interrelated, right? Right from provisioning, it has an impact on the service availability. If you don't do it well, it has an impact on security, but more importantly, cost is an aspect which needs to be looked out for, right? And that's why this is what can pretty much bring you into the run state. So for all the people who have joined and subscribed to this webinar, we really want to give us, no cost FinOps maturity assessment report. It takes time and effort, $2,500 worth of, credit to run one assessment. Send out an email directly to me, or you think if you can go ahead and sign up on the assessment link that has been given. Happy to go ahead and, interact and get the first assessment done. We will probably, after the call, we will also send you a sample report if you wish to. We'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Venki. Again, one more time, let's look at and randomly picking Ravi G. Ravi G is the next winner, and a thank you note. Again, thanks to all of you guys. We'll love to ship it to everybody. Please reach out to me or Venki. Venki is at venki@corestack.io. My name is Parul at corestack.io. Happy to ship, but I'm also just announcing from our side as we are randomly picking up the names, just as a thank you note from our side. Venki, thank you for a wonderful session. We are really open to now question answers, or want to hear your stories as well. We still have a few more minutes left. I cannot emphasize enough the value that CoreStack is offering at $2,500. It's assessment. Get it done, guys. You don't want to be one of those data that Statista talks about, that 30% of the cloud is wasted, right? Gartner says the same thing. So let's get the assessments done, see what is right for your organization, for your team, and we are here. CoreStack as a team is here for you guys. There was one question. How different are this info or reports from a regular cloud FinOps tool like Cloudability or Cloud Health? Venki, you want to take it?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So one of the key areas that, CoreStack really does is, as I said in the beginning, well-architected framework, right? Well-architected framework has a cost pillar to it. And that has set of good best practices that you want to do for individual hyperscalers. And then there is a FinOps, which has a list of best practices that you really want to offer. But what we really are doing here is converting the entire prescription of best practices into automation, right? That is how CoreStack is. And as we continue to mature on this, report, you will also start seeing the trend. You'll be able to see how you have been performing on month to month. Because everybody wants to see the graph going up, right? You need to be at the higher level. Can you show me how you handle budgets? Absolutely, right. Would love to take this particular question. So the way the platform today does, hyperscalers today have the ability where you can go ahead and set the budget at the account level. You can go ahead and set at the region level, maybe it's subscription and resource group level. What the platform does, CoreStack platform does, it provides you an ability to go ahead and set the budget at the tag level, because CoreStack discovers all of the resources, it's tagged, but more importantly, when you're configuring budget in CoreStack, you have an ability to set the same budget for all the cloud. That's truly multi-cloud, right? You are not dependent on individual hyperscalers way of doing it, but you can now set up the entire budget for one project. If it is multi-cloud, you can actually set one a tag and then set it across the board. Now, second is you can set the notification at the actual budget breach or forecasted budget breach. Totally depends on how you want to do it. Many of the customers that we have chosen to go with the forecasted because rather than being reactive, you want to be proactive. And that's how you can go ahead and do that. Number three, it provides you an ability to also define action. If the budget goes beyond, what can you do? Do you want to suspend the account from having new provisions being done? Again, all these actions are configurable and depends on individual organizations.
Thank you, Venki. Good question that was. One couple of more questions. What are the prerequisites to run the report, and how many accounts can you include in an assessment?
So for the free assessment, as we are talking about, you have an ability to go ahead and assess one account, and that's why I said use the maximum, see what is the record number of resources, and just run it. The report takes exactly two days, but before 48 hours, you'll have the report in the hand. The prerequisite is read-only data alone, your cost data, your monitoring data, and your activity data. These are the three things that we require to make sure to provide you the right level of recommendations. Yep, and it's fully automated. Yep, it's pretty straightforward.
So before we go to one last question, or maybe a couple more, Venki, one more, I'm just going to pick randomly one of the other participants, Dustin M. Dustin M is the next name. Again, as I said, would be more than happy to ship to everybody. Please do reach out. One more question. One second, I'm just switching. Okay. How should organization use this assessment to get the maximum out of it?
Okay, so first thing is, this report provides you at what state you are in, right? Whenever things are not in control or you think they are in control, I think it is important to just step back and see where are we before implementing certain best practices, right? So, and that's where the report really provides that, what I call as the ticker point, where they say, let me just go ahead and run, see where am I, and then prioritize what are the aspect of best practices that I can go ahead and implement. Is it the optimization that I'm looking at? Is it the tagging standards that I'm looking at? Let me prioritize that, and that's exactly what the scoring really provides. And that's how they can do it. And the maximization is not just running the assessment once. Maximization is running the assessment on a month-on-month basis to see where you are, right? And that's why I always believe in continuous governance. So you need to have continuous control on the FinOps.
And I know we are just about the time, but I think there was a follow-up to that, Venki, if you don't mind. Please pick it up. Would you be open to add additional control from partners into the mix?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I said it's a community, right? We are part of FinOps, we are FinOps member, and we believe in community building. So it is important that we get feedback from you, because you are the one who are, have the access to the data. You also probably thinking about, this report will help us, but we need to tweak certain things. Feel free to drop us a note, Venki at CoreStack, or reach out to us, Parul at CoreStack.io. Reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to have a discussion. And you never know, we'll include that in our product and make sure that particular report is useful to you.
Excellent. Venki and the team, everybody, before we wrap up, one last thank you. Joseph B. Joseph B is the next one in line for us to ship our tracksuits. But again, I want to thank you, everybody, for your time from wherever you've joined. Appreciate you asking questions, engaging with us, and having an interest in learning more about us. Feel free to reach out to Venki, me, or just overall at CoreStack. Anybody will be there to kind of help you. We want to be your trusted advisor and partner first. We want to see how you see successes in your cloud journey. With that, it's a wrap. Thank you again, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Be cool.